Hey everyone, hope you all are well. As usual, we're kicking things off by applying an eyeshadow primer. I like to use the Urban Decay Primer Potion, but absolutely anyone will do. You just want to add a primer so that the eyes are prepped for the shadows that are to come. And a primer then will ensure the eyeshadows apply nice and smoothly, that they blend nice and easily, and that they last all day long too. So I'm just using a Sigma 3D HD precision brush to blend this into the skin. You could use your fingers alternatively to help melt the product into the skin. So I'm creating a really easy look today using the Sweet Peach eyeshadow palette from Too Faced. I only bought this palette recently despite it being out for years, but I'm loving it. I don't know why I left it so long. And the first shade I'm taking is called White Peach. This is just a light bright shadow with a satin finish to it. And I'm adding this right under the arch of the brow, just sweeping a very light dusting along here with a flat C-shaped brush to add a very subtle highlight to that area. Next then I'm taking the shade Puree, which is a medium warm brown. This is a matte finish to it, and I'm picking this up on a fluffy end of the double-ended brush that came with the Urban Decay Ultraviolet palette, and I'm starting by slowly sweeping this into the crease of the eye. So for today's look I'm going for a rounded appearance to my shadows. It's a style I suppose I never really do, but I really want to keep this look nice and simplistic today, so it's perfect for beginners in particular, and this is why I've chosen this shape for the shadows. I'm basically letting the brush do all the work. Its shape is really helping me here because it's nice and round. So all I'm doing is using little circular motions, making my way over and back from the outer portion of the eye in through the crease and into that inner corner and then back again. And as I've less product on my brush, I'm making those circular motions a bit bigger so that I'm pulling the shadow upwards and fading it out as I'm going. Then to amp up the intensity, I'm going back in with another layer of that Puree shade and I'm adding it again. So I'm starting on that outer corner, making my way into the crease and just making sure that I'm rounding off the shadow as I'm blending. Then I'm flipping my brush around and I'm using that small bullet shaped end to collect up some more of that Puree eyeshadow, and this time I'm blending it down along the lower lash line from outer to inner corner, and on that outer edge I like to loop up the shadow up onto the lid so that we have a nice rounded appearance to the shadows. You don't want to disconnect on that outer edge anyway, you want it to all flow together nicely. So next I'm picking up some of the shade Summer Yum, which is a lovely warm reddy brown. This is a matte finish to it and it's got a lovely colour payoff. I've dipped my Sedona Lace EB09 Universal Blending Brush into that shadow and I'm beginning by tapping this down on the outer third of the lid. I'm raising my brush upwards and pulling it up into the crease. And as you can see, I'm adding it a bit lower in the crease this time, lower than that previous shade, and I'm using a smaller brush to do so too. And this is just so that I can be more precise with the eyeshadow application. You don't want to go in with a large brush and some of this shade and cover up all the work that you've done previously. So using a smaller brush and keeping it deeper in the crease will help to prevent that, and also it'll add a nice bit of depth to the look too. So I'm taking a smidge more of that Summer Yum shade on my brush now. I'm reapplying this into the crease, and don't fret if you're blending and you've gotten some of that shadow down on the inner half of the lid. That doesn't really matter, we're going to be covering that up in a second anyway. And I'm sweeping down along the lower lash line too with that brush, just to make sure that everything is nice and soft and blended. If you do want more of a punch to that lower lash line, again, a brush that's more dense is going to apply more shadow, and that's why I'm using that bullet shaped side now to reapply Summer Yum. Next then we're going in with the shade Caramelize, which is a warm frosty brown eyeshadow that pairs really well with the colours we've applied so far. I've picked this up on a flat C-shaped brush from Blank Canvas Cosmetics. This is the E24. I've spritzed my brush with a little water and now I'm patting this onto the inner half of the eyelid. The water will help the shimmery particles to pop, but it'll also allow the shadow to adhere better to the eyes. A lot of the time with frosty or metallic or glittery shades you can get fallout just due to their texture, so adding a spritz of water or setting spray will help to combat this. Next then I'm taking the shade Nectar, which is a kind of golden yellowy shimmery frosty shade, and I'm using a small bullet shaped brush from Wet n Wild just to add this colour around the tear duct of the eye to add a nice bit of a pop and brightness to that area. And I've added this shadow dry because it actually is quite shimmery and doesn't need an extra pop. I've added it under the arch of the brow too to add a subtle highlight to that area. And now I'm using one of the Colour Icon pencils from Wet n Wild. I spoke in my last tutorial about how these pencils are just huge. They're so cheap and cheerful and they just last forever. You'll never ever need to repurchase. So I'm just adding this into the waterline now, closing my eye around the pencil to coat both the top and bottom waterline. As there is no black in this palette and I do want to add some further depth, I'm taking a kohl pencil, and what I'm doing is I'm running this pencil on the back of my hand to warm it up and just to melt that product into the skin, and then I'm taking an angled brush, dipping it into that kohl pencil, and then I'm pressing this onto the eye area. So this will just add a nice bit of depth to the lash line and it'll help to conceal the band of lashes that I'm about to apply. I'm using the Ritzy ones from Kiss, and then I'm using the Eyeshadow mascara from Lancome just to blend my own lashes in with the false ones and to also coat the lower lashes too. But then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you did find it helpful and easy to follow. Please do let me know if you did, and I'll catch you all in a video really soon.